My name is Bernice Eisenstein, and my work in From Generation to Generation is called Genizot. As simply as I can say it, the show entails 10 paintings and a vitrine that's filled with made and found objects, all of which interconnect and relate and unfold where memory is placed and where we find it and how we think about it. There's many different aspects to memory. On one, there are touchstones and mnemonics, which is what the vitrine is. They're all objects that all relate to every character that I've painted. In that way, I wanted all things interconnected and also to grow as one larger narrative of where what I'll say is like where you can't find a center of memory. Each time you go to it, you awaken a heartbeat. So there was much that I wanted to come alive. I chose specifically not to paint in color. They're all in gouache. It's all black and white and gray and variations of that. So the meaning of shadows evolved and became very important to me as well. I thought if they were in color, it would separate them. If they're in gradations of a tone, an entry to respond is of one piece, and then it's for a viewer to go close and break them down for themselves. So my mother's painting is, her first image is a calligram, and a calligram that's just a pen and ink. That's the one that's not painted. And a calligram is an image made up of words. And that one I just did as a conversation that I was having with her. Not a conversation that she had with me, but is a response to my understanding of her memory and of her. Both my parents were survivors. I grew up in a household that was Yiddishkeit. It's first Yiddish, English is learned, then it's Yinglish, then I go out and it's English. As a child, things are learned by osmosis. It's like your natural bathwater. And where my parents first started in Toronto, when they emigrated here, was a Jewish area of Toronto filled with survivors originally. So I only knew survivors. But it's not like the word Holocaust comes into play. It's more in the household. It's having a sense that Yom Kippur is pretty serious. And there's a lot of, to my mind, beautiful candles that light up the living room. And it's interesting always having to put words in reflection of when you were a child, because there never are those words there. It's just you grow through it. 1961, when I'm 11 years old, and it's the Eichmann trial, and I'm in the rec room, which is in the basement of our house at that time, sitting with my parents and many of their friends who came to watch. So my sense was, what's on the screen is about them. So I'll say that's the first kind of connection that's outside, which was riveting, which left a very profound effect on me. And then later I happened to write a book, and I do tell that story within the book in talking about the Holocaust. But it's a moment of realizing everything that they contained was also outside. And my going outside was to discover more about that. Why memory? First book that I did was called I Was a Child of Holocaust Survivors. And doing that, I went into a process of memory and looked at it prismatically from all angles. Learned how my mind works and reflects. And what can I say? I'm smitten. It's important. Why memory? Because it enters us, it passes through us, it teaches us. It's a guide. It's always interesting where you stop. On one hand, there are a lot of aspects to memory. I mean, one thing is memory is a forbidden territory in many ways. As an example, quite specifically from my background, asking a parent what were your parents like, and realizing their sadness. As a child, you don't want to bring your parents to that sadness. So there's something of a territory that you feel is, I'll say, forbidden. But you find your way to get as close as you can to it and into it for reasons to understand more. Not just the parent who experienced something, but also for yourself. Hidden away. So hidden away, it raises the idea of one, not just forbidden territory, but protection. Your regard for it. And, again, if we're really going to be talking about the Holocaust, survivors are almost all gone. So we're at a point of having to think about and regard memory differently because our witnesses will no longer be with us. What else can I say about memory? I'll remember the conversation we've had.